Hello, I'm psychologist Yulia Latunenko. Today I want to talk to you about an interesting topic: narcissistic mothers-in-law, a narcissistic mother-in-law. How does this manifest in her relationship with her daughter-in-law, and how does it generally affect the young family? Let's explore this issue today. Well, before I start, as usual, I'd like to ask you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, give this video a like, and don't forget to comment. Any comment you leave, especially if it's more than 7 words, is very valuable to me. So, a narcissistic mother-in-law. And the first characteristic I'd highlight for such a mother-in-law is competitiveness. Such a mother-in-law will compete with her daughter-in-law for the role of the main woman in her son's life. She will inevitably show her daughter-in-law her place. It's a subordinate one. This mother-in-law will treat her daughter-in-law condescendingly, and at every opportunity she'll make it clear that she's the main woman in the house. Essentially, with such a man, the woman's place beside him is already taken by his mother. She will displace any girl or woman who attempts to become his partner, his wife. No, only she is the best partner and wife for her adult son. Therefore, building a relationship with such a son who hasn't separated from his narcissistic mother is practically impossible. But let's look further at other signs of a narcissistic mother-in-law. Competing with her daughter-in-law, a narcissistic mother-in-law will seize every opportunity to imply that her daughter-in-law takes poor care of her precious son. And she'll instruct her daughter-in-law on how to better care for her son. And such a mother-in-law will again try to compete, saying, "I know best how to care for my son, and I will teach you. Listen, girl, but you'll never be better than me." The next sign of a narcissistic mother-in-law is that she will disregard boundaries, arriving at the young couple's home whenever she feels like it. At best, she'll inform them while already en route. "I'm coming." She won't ask if she can visit or stay, or if it's inconvenient, or if another day or week would be better. No, she'll simply state it as a fact. "I'm already on my way because I wanted to." And her son, if he is not separated from her, will not be able to refuse her. So such a mother-in-law will come at any moment and can even open with her own key the young family's home. And after arriving, she'll take over the young family's home, acting as if she's the main hostess in her son's house. Or conversely, there's the other extreme. She'll arrive, sit like a lady with folded arms, not helping her daughter-in-law at all, while the daughter-in-law scurries around her like a queen. So such a mother-in-law might pretend to be a lady. She might push the daughter-in-law out of the kitchen or simply sit and expect to be served. The next undeniable sign of a truly narcissistic mother-in-law is her blatant and often aggressive interference in the young family's personal affairs. She will frequently criticize not only the daughter-in-law, often quite harshly, but also her own son, speaking ill of the daughter-in-law and actively trying to turn her son against his chosen partner. If you currently have such a demanding mother-in-law or genuinely fear becoming one yourself for, then this information is crucial. Is your future daughter-in-law, it absolutely means your personal boundaries are off and you truly need to work on them. Next, a narcissistic mother-in-law will inevitably resort to manipulation. If things don't go her way, not according to her carefully laid plan or her personal expectations, she'll inevitably manipulate and exert pressure. She'll skillfully manipulate her son's deep-seated guilt, your own personal guilt, and even her very own health, perhaps feigning illness or distress. It's your fault she feels bad, clutches her heart, or her blood pressure rises. It's your fault. But remember, no one is responsible for another's health. Only an individual is responsible for how their body reacts to certain external situations. The next sign of a narcissistic mother-in-law is that she'll obsessively try to help the young family. Even when it's not needed, she'll send packages, bring things, even if they don't ask her and even tell her not to. Don't do it, we don't need it, she'll still do it. Because it's very important for her to be significant, and it's important for her to evoke a feeling of indebtedness, a feeling of guilt in her son and in you. She tries so hard. She invests so much of her resources, her help into your family. Therefore, you are obligated, and especially the son is obligated to put aside all his affairs concerning his new young family and run to help his mother. That's how it happens. An unseparated man from his mother, he won't be able to refuse her. He will rather refuse his wife, his children, and will rush to his mother's aid at her every signal. Even if it's just a whim, she will still be more important to him than his wife and child. What else is important to note is that such a mother-in-law can and is capable of turning grandchildren against their own mother, unfortunately. A narcissistic person, she does not shy away from anything, any psychological manipulations, and can even involve children in her disputes with her daughter-in-law. Unfortunately, that's how it is. What else is characteristic and interesting for narcissistic mothers-in-law is that they periodically and suddenly open the door to the young family's bedroom. If she finds herself under one roof with her son and daughter-in-law or with the young couple, then as if by accident, not on purpose, she will still open these doors and appear in the bedroom when she is least expected. Well, in the end, she will gradually destroy the young family. She will devour it like a cancerous tumor devours a healthy young body. And if, of course, the son does not fight back and does not show her the boundaries of the young family, if he truly does not cope effectively with his profound feeling of guilt and does not cease being an overly good son for his demanding mother, allowing her to completely do whatever she desires and wishes, then this family, in all likelihood, has absolutely no positive prospects for a healthy future. Therefore, it is indeed very difficult and quite challenging to build meaningful relationships with a man who is so completely tied by such a strong, blind love to his mother. I would say tied by an umbilical cord of guilt and debt to her, which she instilled in him, suggested to him since childhood. So, if you ever find yourself in a committed relationship with such a man, a truly difficult individual, if you are experiencing, boundary violations from either your mother-in-law or your wife's mother, everything I've said also applies to your wife's mother. If you are a man, then all of this can legitimately be said about your wife's mother as well. So if you find yourself in such a situation, it means that your own boundaries are compromised. And usually, as always, I ask you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, like this video, and comment. Have you been in relationships with such men or women who are not separated from their mothers? Have you had similar situations with mothers-in-law or with your wife's mother if you are a man?